This brings us to the demographic transition model. Now, the demographic transition model is a widely used model to represent a country's development. It examines population dynamics of countries over time, and it's an indicator of economic development over time for countries. It allows us to predict population projections in the future as well. This model has 5 stages, which we will go over now. Stage 1, high stationary. This is when there are high birth rates and high death rates, which result in a relatively low rate of natural increase, and it may actually be negative. This is characteristic of most pre-industrial revolution societies, and some countries today that are experiencing epidemics may have regressed to stage 1 as well. So potentially from COVID, tuberculosis, malaria, Ebola, as well as a bunch of other diseases. Those countries can be put into stage 1 because these diseases are so rampant. Stage 2, early expanding. This is when high birth rates continue and low death rates start to become prevalent. This results in a high rate of natural increase. The least developed countries today fall into this bracket, and the reason the death rate decreases is because access to medicine increases, and even access to just simple things like hand washing increases. Generally, this is characteristic of agrarian societies today. Stage 3, late expanding. This is also known as the demographic trap because countries that are in stage 3 for too long have huge populations. For example, India and China. This is when birth rates are declining and death rates are at their low. Rate of natural increase slows down, but still is very high. Urbanization, greater healthcare, women's education, and employment are all contributors to this, especially women's education and employment contributing to lower birth rates because female empowerment generally lowers birth rates in a country. Most developing countries and newly industrialized countries are found here. So an example of a stage 3 country would be India. Stage 4 and on, low stationary or declining. Low birth rates become prevalent, and death rates and rate of natural increase are very low or negative, especially in stage 5, which is now a stage that is being argued for in the DTM as a result of countries like Japan and South Korea with extremely low birth rates. These countries have negative rates of natural increase. Most developed countries can be found here. So in stage 5, fertility rates are below replacement level and population begins to decline. And as mentioned before, that's characteristic of countries like Japan. Now, a few questions just to think about on your own time. What are some limitations of the demographic transition model today, especially during the time of COVID? I think I mentioned one, especially in the stage 1 part of this recording. So the DTM does not take into account migration. It's only natural births and deaths. So the population growth rate isn't actually taken into account. It's just the rate of natural increase. So countries with higher rates of immigration aren't necessarily, classified as stage 4 countries. They might be classified as stage 5 countries because it's just an R&I model. No explanations for why countries have that high birth and death rates or low birth and death rates that they do. During COVID, death rates at all 5 levels have increased, so it's currently not the most accurate measure. It assumes that all countries must follow the DTM sequentially. That's not necessarily the case. Some countries have shorter stage 3s than others. Some countries have shorter stage 2s than others, and so on and so forth. And there's no economic indicators or measures of welfare and quality of life involved. It's just it's just a population growth model, and you can connect it to these things, but you can't necessarily say based on the DTM, oh, this country has high wealth because it's a stage 3 country or so on.